Sun is shining, we've got blue skies, and 3 turf races, 2 very high-quality grass races, in fact, forthcoming on this 9-race Sunday afternoon. A live look from our clubhouse turn shot here at GPW. Ronnie and Jason welcoming you from that outside shot to our inside views here. I'm upstairs in our clubhouse studios. Ronnie's right outside the walking ring, and we're glad to have your company from Miami Gardens on this Sunday, October the 18th. Weather's good, Ronnie, and thankfully getting the green light from Mother Nature. We're back on the turf today for a trio of races.
Yeah, we got some really nice ones on the turf this afternoon. If you're just joining us, races 1 and 5 have been taken off the turf, and we got the Rainbow Six kicking in race number 4 today, up to 275, Jace.
Yeah, it's a big number for sure, and a number of grass races to go around in that jackpot Rainbow Six this afternoon. You know, we were just talking, Ronnie and I, and believe it or not, I mean, we're past the opening quarter mark, if you will, of this 40-day racing season. And as we start to get into week number 4, beginning this coming Wednesday, maybe another, not so subtle sign, Ronnie, that the winter meet at Gulfstream isn't all that far off in the future. We will have the South Florida return of Paco Lopez on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think he's got 5 mounts on Wednesday, and he was the leading rider here last year. He was here for the whole meet. I don't know if he'll catch up to Edgar this year, but he'll give it a good try.
Yeah, 38 wins for Paco here at the 2019 GPW stand, and with that nearing the middle portion of, again, this 40-day racing season, we do have a number of stakes days and stakes races coming up, the first of which is that Saturday, November the 7th. I think that's Breeders' Cup Saturday, right? Breeders' Cup's November 6th and 7th. Obviously, the Breeders' Cup in 2020. No spectators at Keeneland Racecourse. Second ever Breeders' Cup to be run in Lexington, Kentucky. But we'll have a couple of stakes races here that afternoon from Gulfstream Park West. And I think that's probably that gray horse, Halliday, who was winning in the slate. And nice look of, nice pick there of jockey Luis Saez. This is the biggest day, Ronnie, that following Saturday, smack dab in the middle of November, that November 14th program. That is a big day and an afternoon. I think we really get to, celebrate and have some reverence when it comes to the Florida-bred racing program here.
Yeah, 9 stakes on that Saturday, November 14th, and that's a sign that, like you said, the meet will start turning over to the championship side, but great racing still to come here at Gulfstream Park West.
And a championship meet at Gulfstream Park worthy Rainbow Six guarantee on the afternoon. That is a lot of dough and scratch there, $275K, beginning in race number 4. And without further ado, I'll take a little bit of a stab in this early pick 5, where we do head on to the turf course for that 3rd race. And speaking of the Sunshine Millions preview day, it's good seeing a very talented Florida bred who might be the box office star in this particular program, following in the wake of Bodie Express, who was really good here yesterday afternoon in the 9th. But you've got, again, the South Florida return of Eddie Please's Miss Armet, who I didn't single. I have a little more confidence maybe in Descente as a clear-cut and decisive favorite in the 2nd, and obviously constructed this play around the race 2-bound Descente. But I used Miss Armet, of course, at the inside speed in that race, and Hear My Prayer, who's been a real overachieving filly by the big beast. Coverage in the back end of this thing, races 4 and 5, and I began and started things out with the 6-7-9 spread, and dirt form is few and far between in this off-the-turf 12-5 to 10-5 3-and-up maiden claimer on the main going 7 furlongs. And I think unpacking that statement a little bit further, I really, not worried, but I have, I guess, my lack of confidence in most of this field having an easy time going 7 furlongs. And that, the 7/8 distance on the dirt, is the reason I picked the number 7, Power. I don't think his form, I don't think he's as sharp as he was, say, earlier in the summer down here, but this might be the right spot where maybe he's not the fastest horse early on, but I had a tougher time seeing others going and handling 7/8s, which I think will be a really demanding trip for this field. I like that Power can hopefully just kind of chug along and grind out the W.
Yeah, cutting back in distance today, this will be run at 7 furlongs, so mark that down. Stumbled at the start. start. Finished against similar, going that mile into 16th on that day that it was certainly favoring inside speed. But I did go with the 6. Jack L. Barbaro is going to try 7 furlongs. They're going to take the blinkers off this afternoon after following that 4th place finish going 5 on the grass. Comes up, press the pace. He finishes 4th going 6.5 on the dirt. Trained by Augustin Bizzarra, and should be part of the pace this afternoon. And then I threw in the one bloke. Just how good has that barn been going? David Forks, lost its best chance, dropping to the 12.5 level today.
Yeah, Dave picking up a couple of wins and good price winners here yesterday. Happened to bump into Natalie, who I always like seeing over whether we're at Gulfstream or Gulfstream Park West. And no, good to see that barn doing a good job, and they'll try to keep that hot streak going off a double-digit 2-win Saturday with the inside posted bloke in the first race. Race number 2, we're out to 2 turns, 1 mile and 70 yards, and you got a real favorite forthcoming in this one in the form of the 6 Descente, who, I mean, when it comes down to it, she just hits hard for 62.50, and she's got the big early speed. There are some other horses, Ronnie, like the 7 Grace's Drama and the 4 Painterfest, who are very consistent in their own right. But my argument, like yours, I'm assuming, is the fact that Descente might just be a little too much racehorse for the 62.50.
Well, she's going to try and make it 2 in a row and a 5th victory this year after responding in the first race after the claim. It's really good last time out, going that 1-turn mile across town. Jose D'Angelo, Embassy El Jaramillo, the speed, mile and 70 yards, I don't think it'll be a problem. Grace's Drama stretching out around 2 turns, here going the mile, 2 or 3 races going a mile across town, so in good form for Bobby DeBona. And Paint the Vest has chased Grace's Drama around, but I think they've all got to go to beat Descente in the spot.
It's good seeing. We'll move on to race number 3, and if I'm not mistaken, this will go as our technical Sunday feature. I mean, a near $50K purse in this high-priced allowance optional claimer, and we hit the green stuff. We hit the GPW turf course for the first time, I think, since Thursday afternoon at about 1:10 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, you've got a good field, certainly headlined by the number 5 horse in Miss Aramed, who I would imagine, I don't know this for sure, because watching her come out party through the, I'd say, early winter of 2020, I mean, she really got on a roll over at Gulfstream Park for Eddie Plisa, and certainly in my mind had the look of a Florida-bred stakes quality turf sprinting filly. They obviously took her to the Northeast, and I would imagine maybe that's because they're just, even though she's a Florida-bred, there might not be all that many spots to point to during the spring and summer meet across town in Hallandale. She's back, and I'm wondering, Ronnie, is she the speed of the speed in this spot?
She looks awful good to me in here. She's back in Eddie's barn today, back on the turf, 9 previous races, 3 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, stringing together up north. Impressive back-to-back allowance scores in races that were moved from the turf to the main track. One at Laurel, one at Delaware Park, so she can run on any surface. She's a classy daughter of uncaptured, and she won. She broke a maiden on this course, and you get Edgard Zayas. I think she's the speed in there. I know you wanted to show a race with Hear My Prayer and Compensate in that race. I thought Hear My Prayer might be able to run okay in this spot.
Well, again, she's got quality. I don't know if she's been as good. She's not as raced, not as heavily raced as Miss Aramed, but it's hard to argue with this very modest background filly by the Big Beast as we go back to a race. Speaking of the turf course over at Gulfstream Park, this was about, in fact, the Saturday before the Curlin Florida Derby. This was late March over there. And Hear My Prayer just got good and kept running big, and clearly people caught on because she was a big even money favorite in this spot over the 2 Compensate. Compensate isn't as talented, I don't think, as Hear My Prayer, and certainly Miss Aramed. Is there a situation, though, Ronnie, where Miss Aramed doesn't get away, doesn't blast off from Hear My Prayer early, and if they hook up, does Compensate maybe get a dream trip and a perfect storm, getting the opportunity to maybe cut down 2 horses? I mean, she can't warm up in a straight-up 1-to-1-to-1 comparison. She's just not as good as them. But does she maybe get the trip in this race? I thought the argument could be there if you were looking for a bit of a price.
Yeah, so you could see how this is the first race, turf racing, as you mentioned, in a while. We'll see how it plays out. I think they're all going to have their running shoes on to beat Miss Aramed. But, you know, we've seen things like this happen in the past. Hear My Prayer, as you mentioned, thought of the Big Beast lightly raced. I liked her performance. They took her off a 6-month 8-month layoff last time. Brought her up to Pimlico in a tough spot.
Tough spot, too.
Tough spot
Yielding
for her.
turf course.
Yeah.
She doesn't want that.
Yeah, you know, and it's My Lucky Charm is the other one from Eddie, who's returning from an 8-month layoff, has some back class, going to try 5 furlongs for the first time. I don't know what to make of that. Looks like they might want to give this horse a race going shorter.
Well, we will give you a race, my friend. You can't lose it, though, because we've got your Rainbow Six coming up. We'll see what the ticket looks like after this.
In the 2-path. Ground on first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. Last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
About 40 on the clock here at GPW. That starting gate, we can guarantee, will be placed on the turf course for our featured third race on the program. Good cast of fillies and mares, headlined, of course, by Miss Armet, who is just a flamethrower across town at Gulfstream Park for trainer Eddie Plesa Jr. Nice palm trees here, and we'll move on, Ronnie, and hit the green stuff beginning in the third. And we do have, in fact, 2 turf races in the Rainbow Six this afternoon, including that very nice matchup on the turf, which features a little bit of a rematch, in fact, between a couple of 2-year-olds in Fulmini and Castle King. I would imagine you use Fulmini. Do you include Castle King, who's going to be a bigger price?
Well, I'll show you my ticket right now, and it's stepped it up today, $64.80 because of that nice $275,000 guarantee, jackpot guarantee. Went 3 deep in here with Gala Jack, Florado, Fiery Princess in race number 5. That's that race that was taken off the turf. I'm going with Classy Beast and Cookie Cove in there. Race number 6, I'm using the 4, the 5, Life in Shambles, first off the claim by Peter Walder, and Royal Squeeze in there. It was a hard-knocking campaign. Has got to bounce back. In that race, I did use, in race number 7, I went 2 deep, only Fulmini and King Buddha. Castle King, I left off in that particular spot. Race 8, I like a sail today. If that horse gets the lead, can be very, very dangerous. But I did use Sammy's Town and Bargainaire. And in the last race, a little bit of a long shot for me. Speed play with the 4, Attican, who's 8-1 on the morning line.
3-4-7 for you to start this thing out, chasing about 300 large in that guarantee. Now, as we gaze upon this group of 10K maiden claimers, and these are fillies and mares in the 4th, is the number 3, Galit Jack, the most important horse in the race as she comes back, runs for 10, and has the early speed? That's what won me over. Is she the most important horse in the race?
I think so. She's dropping to the 10 level on the main track first race. She's showing that speed and fading when facing tougher on the turf before an extended layoff. She's coming back for Jose D'Angelo with Edgar Zayas in the saddle. So off that, coming off that layoff, I wanted more coverage in there. And same thing, we have the same exactor in here with Florado, now in the Peter Walder barn, the daughter of Commissioner. Cuts back to 3/4 today in the main track first start, since setting the pace and fading against 16 maidens. While in the Mike Maker barn, I think that horse could run well today.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping, I think, not even really focusing in on the trainer change to Peter, which certainly won't hurt. Getting this horse off Maker, for me, having her so highly rated, because her form really took a left-handed turn, in fact, before this layoff. For me, anyway, I like the idea of just taking a step back with Florido and bringing her back this afternoon, and we'll see it recalibrated if she can get back in the right direction here. She runs for 10K for the first time. The 5, Lady Cloverly, looked a little interesting, only because this is where Misael winds up. I mean, he rides a lot for Jose D'Angelo. In fact, I would venture a guess he rides more for that barn just in terms of their shorter priced horses. With him going to the Avila horse, maybe that horse is live for 10K. We'll see. That is the Rainbow Opener. Fifth race is off the turf. Second and final off the grass race this afternoon, and it's about Classy Beast here as we check out my late pick 5 ticket. You know, I don't fully trust her. I had a hard time picking against her in this field, given the fact that so many in the race seem to have early speed. So although her form hasn't been lighting the world on fire, she should, I think, get the right kind of trip in that race. And even moreover, she's supposed to, in theory, like running for 12.5. But I also included the number 10 horse, Dancing with Jimmy B, just in case Classy Beast has really gone the other way. Her recent form does concern me a little bit. No singles for me in this $24 play. I'm just trying to look. Oh, I got a price horse to potentially include in the 6th race in Running for Riz, who is coming out of races where, in actuality, he was probably 500 to 1. I mean, just impossible spots for him in his last few. And he's going to get as loose as he wants to be, and I'm going to try to wire that field in the 6th. Give a look to the 6th Running for Riz, and we'll talk about him and that cast collectively in just a few seconds. Now, the 5th race again, Ronnie. I mean, 2 words: Classy Beast. What are your thoughts with her? She's going to be a pretty big favorite here, dipping in for the 12.5.
Well, she drops to the 12.5 level after that duel for the lead in week and 5th against those 25 open claimers, going 7 on the dirt. She'll run at 5 today. So I got a stat with Bobby DeBona: 50% drop in claiming price on all surfaces. He's 6 for 24, 25%, 38%.
Not a great move.
Yeah, so we see how this horse runs there, and $1.72 is the return of investment.
Yeah, I don't think that is. I really don't think winning with this, 50% drops in class, because it's steep. Winning 1 out of 4 and paying about $1.70 as far as the collective return on investment, I don't think this is a great move. And although I think there's an argument, and that's why I picked her, she might still be a little bit better than these. I mean, does her recent form scare you a little bit? I mean, it really hasn't been all that good per se on the dirt.
Well, when you're looking for a race that's coming off the turf, you have to start searching. And looking through all the horses that stayed in, I think that this horse is the best one in the field to do that. I use Cookie Cove and Dancing with Jimmy B. Of course, there's some guesswork in there. Do you go with the old button in this spot? No. So you try and pick who you think who's going to run the best with this. Dancing with Jimmy B, who actually broke his maiden on and off the turf race at Gulfstream in May. Maybe he runs well. Cookie Cove is going back to the dirt. I got some speed in there, so maybe that horse steals it. But I thought the race, when you handicap it, looks like Classy Beast is the one to beat.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely the one to beat. I still like her on top and think she's tough today, but I wouldn't go too overboard in a race that, again, ultimately is about her, but she's got a slew of questions as far as I'm concerned. 6th race today, good field here, not the feature, but just some hard hitters with some impressive resumes. And I think it's a cast very much led by the 8-year-old, the number 2 Royal Squeeze, who is not the elder statesman. That belongs to the number 5 Life in Shambles, who coincidentally is one of a couple of horses returning from Saratoga, or at least who started last out at Saratoga alongside your top pick. And why don't I let you talk about the 4 Lusitano, who's really been not only a road dog, has been all over the place. I mean, turf, routing, sprinting, miling. Is this what he wants to do, going 6 on the main?
We're going to see if he's going to the Louis Roussel barn after the claimant debuting locally at 6 furlongs after finishing 4th. That was those 40 claimers going 7 up at Saratoga. MSCL Jaramillo rides this consistent son of violence, what I like. 21 starts with 7 wins, a second and 2/3. And that was my thought, and just seeing Louis Roussel, who just hasn't claimed a lot. We talked about this the other day. But the horses that he's claimed have run very, very well.
Now, Life in Shambles is another horse we know quite well here in South Florida, and a horse that, was running with Christophe Comant while I was still working for Naira, and that was a long time ago. He's a warrior, nearly 60 races to date. I know you've got a stat you want to show with Peter Waldo, who, along with Steve Sigler's Winning Move Stables, saw fit to reclaim this guy.
Yeah, Peter Waldo, first after the claim, sprints on the dirt. Overall record, he's 16 for 57, 28%, 54% in the money, 231. 1 is the return of investment. So a big stat and a very impressive one, I think, to win at 28% with 57 previous horses first off the claim is pretty good.
Is it a positive, you think, that Peter has experience trading Life in Shambles?
Absolutely. You know, they went in and jumped back together, but I love that angle on no matter what trainer's doing. If they think enough to go back and get a horse, there's something they like about it or something they could maybe fix and win another race with.
Especially a 9-year-old, right?
Yeah. They know maybe he's a good kid in the barn, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He is more of a one-run, grind-you-down horse. Now, yesterday it seemed like the main track may have had the most diverse cast of winners in terms of just different running styles, so that might bode well for him. But I thought his running style scares me a little bit, but I respect him. Also, a lot of respect for the 2 Royal Squeeze, and I get the relevancy of the race. I opted to pull for this upcoming Sunday 6th is up for debate because we're going to go back basically to Memorial Weekend in late May. In fact, May 31st, concerning Royal Squeeze and running for Riz. But I figured, you know what, 2 horses that have history with one another, and I think for me anyway, watching this race, it kind of is a little bit of a snapshot as to how these horses, the trips they're going to pull today. Running for Riz does not have the kind of resume of a Royal Squeeze or a Life in Shambles. He just doesn't. Yet he's run some big races when he's been allowed to get things his own way, and he's coming out of, as I was saying with my late pick 5 summation, he's coming out of 2 races where he had to hook up against Travie Boy, and 2 back had to go 7 furlongs. He wants no part of Travie Boy on the lead, and he doesn't want to stay 7 furlongs. He might just set the pace and not be good enough to wire these horses, but I figured, you know, Speed's been winning so consistently here, and he does have a little bit of quality to him, and why not? He's going to be a good price in this race. Got nothing but respect for the 2 Royal Squeeze, but I would argue since that race we just looked at in late May, it feels like his form has eroded a little bit, and he's a soon-to-be 9-year-old. Not that he's run poorly against better fields, but I think as of late, he's been a little flatter in his races, not that much early ambition.
Yeah, you know, he's dropping to the 40 level today after a trio of sprints, as you mentioned, and at the distance against Tougher includes that 3rd place finish in the $60,000 opening lead, another 3rd place finish against $62,005. So his back class must be respected. Does he just wake up here at the $40,000 level?
It could happen. Oh, I respect him. Don't get me wrong. I'm taking a shot trying to wire that thing with running for Riz, but a lot of respect for both Royal Squeeze and Life in Shambles. They are must-uses, in my opinion, in that 6th race. On the turf for our 7th race, this is kind of the middle of the 3 turf races today, and like the 3rd, got a lot of quality here, and certainly some promise in the camp of horse like the 1 Fulmini, the number 5 King Buddha, who was good in his route debut. But Fulmini's going to be favored and is the horse to beat. And we're going to go back to the Proud Man Stakes in late August over at Gulfstream Park. I feel as though the start, because Fulmini took a pretty big body slam out of the gate, and I think that put him a little bit further back than he prefers to be. And I decided to pull the race we're showing from this point on because I just wanted to show, although he didn't run all that great, he didn't have an easy trip by any stretch, being like a 3 to 4 wide, trying to middle move while uncovered. Tough to win like that, especially when you're in against a good turf horse like Hot Blooded, who just had a far better trip and far better positioning throughout. Castle King has been an honest horse for Maria Bowersock, and I'm curious to see how both these horses run rematching. I think they both got some quality, but again, like you, Ronnie, I prefer the 1 Fulmini, who, assuming he breaks a little bit better and has just a little bit more luck out of the starting gate, he's likely going to be a lot closer in that first flight, basically probably where Hot Blooded was before he took over.
Yeah, I like the fact that he displayed his versatility after chasing the pace and finishing 2nd in the Armed Forces. That race was moved to the main track on that sealed sloppy track, so he's Mike Maker sees he runs on all surfaces. You get in Edgar Zayas. Castle King, as you mentioned, finished 3rd in front of him in the Proud Man and 3rd behind him in the slop last time out, so those guys hooking up. And King Buddha was good. He's stepping up to face winners. He proved he could handle 2 turns when he wired the field of maiden special weight runners, going 8 on the Gulfstream Park turf course. Made me think he can handle this distance this afternoon. And Gilberto Zerpa, good, winning consecutive races.
Yeah, curious how King Buddha runs here, because he got the mile, as you said, last out. He did it fairly late in that summer season. That was a period where early speed and inside speed was basically king on that turf course over in Hallandale. But, I mean, he beat a good field. We'll see a bunch of those horses, including Golovkin and Rolito, who were second and third. They are all coming back and running in the Wednesday first race, which is a nice turf opener on that October 21st card. So we'll learn a bit more about King Buddha and see between Fulmini and Castle Rock, right? What's his name?
Yep.
Castle King, rather. Castle
King.
Rock is that was I think Stephen King's thing before DreamWorks for sure. But that's Castle King, who's been an overachiever for sure. 8th race. We'll take our final spin on the main track today, going 6. Some 3-and-up Filly Mare 25K claimers, and I'm with you, Ronnie. I mean, the one horse I remember you mentioning in your Rainbow Six rundown. When you got up to the 8th, you had mentioned a Sal liking this horse to wire this old, tough 8-year-old mare. And I'm with you, man. I mean, this is a zero-sum game as far as I'm concerned. No one can match strides with her out of the gate.
I talked to Rashawn numerous times about this horse. This horse needs the lead. If he gets the lead, he's awful tough, and that's what I think he's going to get today. So he's got to be. He's going to be running and gunning, and I just went with that. I believe he's 9-2 on the board. I got Sammy's Town in second, and Bargainaire trying to wake that one up to 6 horse. But I think it's all a Sale, a 6-time winner on the dirt. That's going to be on the engine today.
What price? You got the program there? I'm
Yep.
curious. So she's 4.5 to 1, you said,
Yeah.
on the line. What price is the 7 She's All Woman for Bob Hess Jr.?
5 to 1.
5 to 1, okay. And her form is not great, or hadn't been great. Laid up, didn't run all that well in a tougher spot coming back. Thought maybe she'd take a step forward, or at least I was hoping she would. I mean, that's obviously why I've got her second. She runs back to her last. She's not going to get a sniff here, but maybe she can wake up against a slightly easier field of fillies and mares in that 8th race. One more for you as we finish off this second full week this autumn season at Gulfstream Park West, and the last call Sunday nightcap is on the turf at 1 1/16th. And following the presence of Fulmini and that nice 7th race field for 2-year-old allowance horses, we're back to trainer Mike Maker and jockey Edgar Zayas as they hook up with the 5 Time for Trouble. Let's go back August 29th, and I'll ask you, Ronnie, this was second to last month across town. This was late August, the last time this colt by English Channel ran. What price would you give for this horse at this point in the race?
Yeah, not a very good chance there. He looked like he was far back and maybe not win it there. But he's very impressive in that race.
Now, Edgar saved every inch of ground, and I think in the end that made the difference, because you'll see this horse basically win by a couple of credit cards on the wire, just in terms of a width is concerned. But Edgar kept them inside, angled them out, and somehow, some way, he was able to get up and cut down 2 horses who both, I think, including the one Violent Fight, as they say, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Look, I see a horse here with top connections that won for 12.5 and probably won a race he shouldn't have, and that's good enough for me to go back. You're one inside, and I would have to guess, Ronnie, with you taking the 4 at Attican, you're looking just to slow this thing down and wire the field?
Going to try, because you saw Time for Trouble. That's how that horse likes to run. The same thing with Budget Buster, who I thought had a shot, and he's going back to his preferred surface. He rallied on that sealed, sloppy track, so I see these 2 horses that like to sit off the pace. They're not going to be as far back, maybe, as last time Time for Trouble was. So Attican goes back to the turf. He dueled throughout. He held sway to defeat those mates. It's just a speed play for me. Wanted to get a price, 8 to 1 on the morning line, and just see, maybe we'll see how the turf courses play. Maybe this one goes to the lead, and these horses can't catch him at the end.
Yeah, a bit of rain-softened ground on the program. We'll have some clues by the time the 9th race rolls around, but we can't get to 9 without number 1, and that means we're coming up on the first here alongside track announcer Pete Aiello, who's coming up next.